Hey guys, a really short video this time, just to cover what I think is the key secondary aspect of Marxist theory that we need to know about. So we talked a little bit about ownership in the last video, and really the key concept that I want you to get to grips with ownership is the idea of power. Okay, so those who own the means of production in society have power of some kind. Okay, so those who own media companies, they have and exert power through their ownership of media companies to shape culture in particular ways, and that is why the Marxist model is so important for us to understand. Now, what I want to talk about in this video very quickly is just the idea of what that power actually means for us in practice and when we're thinking about media, and how this power gets distributed through a society. So really what I'm talking about here is ideology. Now we're in the field of what we call, in a broad sense, structuralism. And I mentioned structuralism in the last video. And structuralism is a very simple idea, really, and we don't need to overcomplicate it at this stage of your studies in the first year. Structuralism is the idea that society is made up of particular institutions or structures which affect the way that we exist as human beings in a society. So really this is kind of a structuralist idea, because what we're arguing here is that the ownership of media affects the way society is, and the way the culture is, and the way that education is, and the way that media content is, etc. That's a structuralist idea, right? And really what I'm interested in here is ideology, the Marxist concept of ideology. So ideology is a dominant form of social consciousness. These are common sense ideas which are taken as a given in a particular society. Now for Marx, that was very clear that these came from the ruling classes, the bourgeoisie, who transmitted these through the ownership of the means of production and therefore their control over the superstructure of society onto a pliant and willing working class, developing what we call false consciousness. We see ideology at play all the time. One of the great examples of an ideological construct which the media helps to legitimize is the American dream, right? This notion in the United States that the perfect life is the detached house with the picket fence and the 2.4 kids and what have you. The American dream is a myth. It is a creation. It is an ideological construct. It doesn't exist. And actually, over the past 40 years in America, working hard and trying hard at your job does not get you the American dream at all. In fact, wages have decreased in terms of the cost of living in the United States over that time. The rich have got richer. Everyone else is struggling to keep up. And the American dream has frankly ended over time. Even a good president like Obama couldn't reverse that trend. So, if you like, the American dream is an ideological construct. And what we can ask ourselves then is, okay, well, what's the point of it? If the American dream, this idea that if you work hard and you're a good little boy or girl and don't break the rules, you can have anything you want, what's the purpose of that ideology? What does it achieve? If it's a myth, then it must have power in some way, right? Well, think about it. Capitalists and people who own industries tell people that you need to work very hard and obey the law at all times, and then you'll get rewarded. You don't get rewarded, but you keep working hard just in case you will be. It's a perfect form of social control, the American dream. It tells people that you can achieve anything you want as long as you stick by the rules. And that's a form of social control. So the ideology works to legitimize the working conditions and the social conditions of the poorer classes in America as dictated by those who are richer and wealthier and own the means of production. Damn, that's what we call an ideological critique, my friends. Wow. Okay, so ideologies basically are ideas which help to legitimate a dominant political power, and the American dream is a great example of this. It is an ideology which legitimizes power in America. It says, like, you know, if I work hard enough, I can be like those guys. They deserve to be there because they work so hard. It's not true. It's not true at all, but it's an enduring myth which has massive amounts of power, and ideologies have power. If you want to see ideology in practice, I mean, we'll be seeing this. We're seeing it in really odd circumstances at the moment, right? But obviously the American election is going on at this point. I'm talking about this in August, by the way. And of course, you guys will be watching this much closer to the date of the election in October. And Trump's campaign, Make America Great Again, is a pure piece of ideology. It is a set of ideas by a particular section of the dominant ruling class in America that says that, America has gone soft, America this, America that. This guy will sort out America's problems. He hasn't done a damn thing. He's been easily the worst, not just the worst American president, but the worst world leader of any description I've seen in my lifetime. He's horrendous. He's achieved absolutely nothing because he's utterly incompetent, and so is everyone to do with him. But ideologically, this worked. This ideology that not only is America a great country, but also that it had fallen away from greatness thanks to liberals and lefties and the radical left and feminism and equality and all this sort of stuff. It's a complete myth. But ideologies don't have to be true. They just have to exert power in particular ways. And you can't say that Trump's ideology was not successful. The most ideological company of them all is Disney. And the reason why I say this is, for all you ladies watching, I just want you to think about one very straightforward question here. What message does Disney consistently give to women? Consistently, I mean over and over again. Women in Disney are purely there to be rescued and to marry a rich guy. They have no agency of their own. They have no quality of their own above and beyond the ability to marry a handsome, rich individual. What does this tell us about women? What kind of message is this to give to young girls? We plonk kids in front of Disney films all the time, and they're sucking in this message. It's horrific. It's basically saying, girls, your purpose in life is to get married to a guy who earns more than you and will have dominion over you, and your role is to spit out children for him. Sorry about the graphic imagery there. But this is just shocking stuff, right? Disney, this is why I've referred to Disney as evil in the past, and I still think, even in post-Frozen times, I still think Disney's role with their representation and the positioning of women is horrendous, and it's an ideological position. Disney is a company dominated by men. Yeah, that makes you think, right? Now, what does the Disney princess thing achieve? Well, it achieves some kind of wider patriarchal aim. It also produces huge opportunities for marketing to sell children this image of women being subordinate to men, and people buy it up. They don't just buy the DVD or get Disney Plus. They buy the bed sheets. They buy the action figure. They buy they buy the toothbrush. They buy the whatever. It's a huge thing, right? So Disney's ideology is transmitted in bright, colourful ways with wonderful songs and entertaining movies and talking animals and stuff like that. But the ideology underpinning it is really, really disturbing in 2020, but it's been disturbing forever, which is this notion that women are subordinate to men. How do we do an ideological critique? Now, what we will do in the seminars for this week is do some ideological critique with one of my favourite horror stories of all time in terms of ideology. This is what you always have to do with an ideological critique. When you're looking to examine what ideas underlie a particular media text and where those ideas come from, always think about the central message that's being conveyed. What is being said here? Think about who is putting it across. Look for repetition of words and images. Think about what is not being said, so what views are not part of this ideology, and think about the use of exceptional examples. We're going to practice doing this, right? And we're going to do some ideological critique. And ideological critique is actually a fun thing to do. But really, what I would say, whenever you're looking at a text and you want to perform an ideological critique, always ask yourself this very simple question. Who is saying this and why? And when we say who is saying this, I'm not necessarily talking about the character on screen, although it can be that simple sometimes. But I'm actually asking you, who is saying this, as in, who made this? Who funded this? Who created this? Who wrote this? Those are fundamental things you have to ask in an ideological critique. Okay, I said it was going to be short, 10 minutes. I am racing through this module with you guys. I am racing through it. This is unbelievable stuff. See you guys. Next video will all be about Frankfurt School. So it's got like a continuation on this kind of theme, but much more into cultural studies. So I think you guys will enjoy. Bye-bye.